The shocking cases of sexual assault by Larry Nassar continues to open new doors of justice for all sexual assault victims.
7 investigator Jim Kirchner is live right now with how this can make a big difference in attacks that happened more than 2 years ago. Jim.
First, an alert. Some of what you're going to hear is a little graphic, but you're going to meet a woman who waited for some 2 years for her sexual assault to go through the criminal courts. She was shut out of suing her attacker until now. And these new laws are the personal mission of the first victim to go public against Dr. Larry Nassar.
This really means everything.
We do need to look at this as just the first step.
It's a giant leap for Christy Uribe. For 3 years, she worked summers here in the paradise of Mackinac Island.
I would just look up to the sky and thank whoever it was for that experience.
In July of 2015, Christy got together with more than a dozen of her friends who all worked on and lived on the island to cut loose and have a Christmas in July party. They started at the Goodfellows restaurant where Christy worked with her roommate, Jackie Heath. That afternoon at Goodfellows, Jackie served Tim Blackwood and his family.
I was his waitress with his pregnant wife and his 2 daughters.
She told Blackwood about the party, and hours later, he showed up alone.
I think that he is a predator, and that's exactly what he had on his mind.
Over a few hours, the group moved from bar to bar to bar. Blackwood tagged along, paid Christie's bar tab.
It was very confusing to me that it could be perceived that I would have wanted to flirt with him because I wasn't interested.
Blackwood would later be charged with sexually assaulting Christy on a picnic table here in the dark. Christy says because she was so drunk, she doesn't remember it. But doctors would find trauma, including in her private parts.
I had all these bruises, I had this pain, I had a lot of blood.
Several months later, tests would show Blackwood's DNA was in Christy's clothing. He had lawyered up and didn't talk to police about what he did. 2 years after the assault, he would plead no contest to 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct, a deal cut by the local prosecutor.
That's not fair, that's not just. And that was when he told me that it wasn't my decision.
Blackwood served 6 months close to home in the Shiawassee County Jail and was allowed work release. He resigned as a Howell firefighter but still continues to run his own fire consulting business.
I had an emotional breakdown, something to this day that I still regret. I'm not one to say why me, but that night that was all I could say.
By the time our client's criminal case had concluded, more than 2 years had passed, and her ability to bring a claim for sexual assault was already gone.
The new law extends the time from 2 years to 10 years for all sexual assault victims to sue their attackers for money damages. Before the new law, a civil claim had to be labeled emotional distress. Now it can be called assault.
I knew in my heart that this wasn't right.
Many say there are still more laws that need to be changed.
We're starting to open that door. We're starting to open that access.
And more legislative action is expected this fall up in Lansing. An attorney for Tim Blackwood said no comment. Dave, Carolyn?
So, Jim, I'm just trying to understand you correctly. I know you said this can go back 10 years. So victims from 10 years ago can bring cases forward today, or how far back?
That's the expanded window now. It went from 2 years to 10 years. I can also tell you some people want to see what's called governmental immunity eliminated with further changes that could happen this fall, because if there are attacks that happen in a governmental setting, those people can't sue that governmental setting quite as easily with this immunity. Many hope that that goes away this fall.
All right, thank you so much as always, Jim, for that live report and for clarifying all of that for victims.
And we'll keep following that story for sure.